Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Hub Racing. Hopefully things should be working fine now. We were live very briefly earlier, but apologies if you weren't able to hear us, because it doesn't seem like it was showing on the channel for whatever reason. But hopefully now we're back in time for what should be some absolutely fantastic action. Round 9 of the championship around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City for the Mexican GP. My name is Luke. Matt alongside me once again. There's still 3 drivers in with winning a chance of this title, Matt, and they'll be hoping to... Dynastic's case, he's got to hope for a win, really. Lakitu and Netsky, they've just got to be hoping that they don't make any mistakes that'll put them on the back foot going into the final race.
Yeah, Dynastics really has not a lot to lose. I mean, yeah, he could lose the chance of being in the championship shootout next week, but at the moment it's unlikely he could make it anyway with the points difference what it is. He needs to win and hope that Netsky and Lakitu don't have a strong race, but that is a lot of racing to do between now and then, and we got a qualifying session to go first. Will it rain? Will it stay dry? Who knows? But I'm excited to find out either way.
Yeah, it should be a fascinating race around a track, which I believe is actually the highest altitude of any circuit on the calendar. We'll go through the results from last time around, and it was another victory for Lakitu, a third one in a row, 5th of the season after 8 races. A fantastic record for him taking that win at Vietnam. Dynastics recovering after a couple of bad races to keep his Slim Championship challenge alive in second. Netsky finishing in 3rd position. What that does mean is Lakitu is leading the championship 128 points. Netsky has 120. Dynastics has 97. We've already said those are the 3 that have a chance of winning the title. Toxic is 4th on 68. Larkin has 66. The rest of the race premium drivers are Khalifa 56, Samba 54, Konzo has 36, Scopefielder, who put in a good result last time around, he's on 33, Olive Lavelle 22, J. Luke on 20, Lukey on 19 points. Lakitu can win the championship tonight. If he wins the race and Netsky finishes outside the top 5 or 5th with the fastest lap, or 6th position, Lakitu will win the title. But Netsky has not finished outside the top 5 this entire season. He's got the consistency. He'll just be hoping that he can get a victory and really spice things up going into the final round.
Yeah, there's nothing like making it spicy for the final round with a victory that people might not necessarily think you're going to get. But there's a lot that could happen between then and now. But there's, as you said briefly before the stream played up, there's 3 different drivers, 3 different nationalities, 3 different teams, and I cannot wait to see what happens tonight.
Yeah, it should be absolutely fascinating. We are still waiting for the drivers to get ready. Seem to be getting ready just as I'm saying that. Perfect timing. Qualifying is really important to every race. However, here, it's such a long run towards Turn 1, and that was mentioned in the drivers' interviews, that length of run towards Turn 1, it might not be the best idea to be starting on pole.
No, it wouldn't, because you would ideally like to get a pole position, but here is probably not the place to do that, because you would give up a ton of slipstream and tow to the cars in and around you, so you could well be 5th or 6th going into Turn 1, which is not ideal, but it's not a disaster either, but definitely want to be towards the front, but not quite at the front.
Yes, indeed. So, qualifying underway. Any predictions then for who might be getting a pole position? Because this season, it's been pretty dominated by Mercedes. Netsky's had 4, Toxic's had 2, Lakitu got 1 last time out, and he took a victory from pole position. He got 1 in Austria, and he took a victory from pole position. So he's really, when he starts at the front, he seems unbeatable this season.
Yeah, it's, can you get in front of him? And there's a few candidates that could well do that. You've said Samba's got electric pace at various points this season. Janel's been up there in the past. But there's 5 or 6 cars that could do it, and we'll see very early on which one looks more likely to do it. But that's the quality of drivers from first to last in this league. Anyone could pop it on pole at any given time.
Yes, they could indeed, and it's going to make it a bit more tougher because we do have some rain then around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. It is going to be a wet, definite start to the qualifying session, and looking at the intensity of the rain, probably all the way through the qualifying session, as well, if we're being perfectly honest. The last time this track was used in One Hub was way back in Season 14, our last full-length league here at One Hub. It's been used for 12 races in total across 7 seasons, and last time out in the Pinnacle tier, it was Sam who took the victory with Forbes in second and Danestar, who's now, of course, one of our prospect commentators, in third. Lukey did manage to pick up a podium, though, in the Precision tier, so he might be hoping that he can put in a good performance tonight, because it's, you could probably say for a lot of the drivers that made the step up from Precision to Pinnacle, they've shown bits of pace, but probably would have all been hoping for better seasons.
Yeah, it's been patchy at best for some of the drivers, and that's not necessarily their fault. It's just, it's a bigger learning curve that you might expect coming from one to another, but it's been great to see, and the consistency is still there for drivers like Lukey, who's still picking up the points as he goes, and that's a great overall record he's got here in One Hub with all the finishes and points finishes. It's a very good plus percentage for him, and there are other drivers like it. So yeah, it's a struggle, but I think next season, if they're all in the same tier, which I think they will be, then it's going to be a bit more wide open.
Yeah, they'll be getting used to things. As we said, we have seen good performances from them. Lukey has actually not finished inside the top 8, but he's only finished outside the points once. He's been very consistent in them lower points places, despite only being 15th in the championship. His teammate Ollie Flavel's put in some decent performances on occasion, especially in the first 4 races when he was never outside of the points, but in the last 4 he's only managed to score points at the British Grand Prix with 8th place. Janel and Khalifa haven't done too bad, despite what the officials might make you think about Janel's performances. They've not done too bad over the last few races, and here's a driver who did okay last time out. Arnaud then was 7th at Vietnam. Let's see what he can do for a lap around this circuit, down this tremendously long straight. Of course, normally in the race, in dry conditions and in qualifying, you would have the DRS, but none of that here in the wet as he heads towards the braking zone for the chicane at turn 1, taking it nice and steady indeed, not using any ERS at that point. It is very possible around this circuit, if you do use ERS all the way around, to actually burn through your deployment before you manage to get to the end of the lap. Now heading into the, second DRS straight, of course none in this, into the chicane at turn 4 and 5. Then you've got this very tricky double apex right-hand hairpin almost at turn 6. You want to get a good straight exit there as you head towards probably one of the trickiest sections on this track. DSs, expect to see a lot of invalidations in qualifying around here, and a lot of penalties as well. Arnaud just taking it very steady now as he comes through turn 10 and turn 11, only daring to go full throttle pretty much once he's onto the straight bit. This is another DRS straight as you head into the stadium section, where it's all about getting good traction as he comes through turn 12, sweeping over to the right hand side of the track for 13, being very careful, short shifting just to try and maximise the traction from these Pirelli rear tyres, and of course a lot of power going from the hybrid engines. Coming through the final corner now at turn 17, heading towards the finish line, 1:25.421, so we're talking about 12 seconds what you'd probably expect off of a full dry time.
Yeah, you are, and let's see if Corsa can get anywhere near the time, as Toxic goes a little bit quicker than that still, but we've still got a driver in the pictures on soft, so he's optimistic at this point, but maybe that's a ploy. But Corsa goes in P4, 25.7, so they're all about the 25 mark, which, as you say, is about 12 seconds slower than you'd expect in the dry, but Lucky 2 didn't, I think he invalidated, so he's probably going to go again, which is the key in the inters. You need to keep going because they get better the more you drive, unlike the slick tyres which get worse the more you drive. So it's a little bit about face, but yeah, there's definitely some room for movement for all drivers.
Yes, definitely. Ollie Flavel's just got up into 6th place. I think as well, it's drivers obviously getting used to the track. They do practice in the wet conditions sometimes if they expect to get some, as we see Samba now go up into 2nd and make it a Williams 1-2. It's a bit like the early 90s when they used to race at the Mexican Grand Prix. Great performance from both of them so far. They are still in the Constructors' Championship fight, or the Williams team, but it is of course also possible that that championship could end tonight. Mercedes 188 points ahead, and with Williams on 151, we're pretty much in a situation where if Mercedes outscore Williams, that will be it. They will be the Constructors' Champions As I was saying just before, that good lap from Salmon to put him into second. Another reason why you see drivers do a lot of lap on the intermediate tyres is primarily you practice in the dry. You might do a few laps in the wet, but usually you don't, and you don't want to be sitting in the pit lane while the track conditions, this might be the driest it gets all session, or there might be a midpoint where it's the driest, as Corsa now goes fastest on a 125. You don't want to be sitting in the pit lane when the track's at its optimum.
Yeah, you certainly want to be out there getting all the data you can, but of course if there's rain in the race, of course, you're going to need all your tyres, so it's a tricky call, because you only get 3 sets, and with 2 stops in the race, it could be like I've run out of tyres if it's a fully wet race, so I guess there's going to be some period of either wet or completely dry, so I think that's always something to consider in future events, but I think right now everyone but Schofield decide they want some wet running.
Yes, I'm surprised actually to see some drivers coming into the pits after only 1 lap on their tyres. Toxic and Arno. Netsky, first man into the 124s then on a 124.817, and he was the man who got selected by Badgerman to go into the drivers' press conference, basically saying, you've only won 1 race all season, Lakitu's won 5, do you really even deserve to be in this championship battle, seeing as you don't get on the top step? And he's put it down to strategy. He says Lakitu's probably done better on strategy, and you might not be able to argue on that, because outright pace, definitely in qualifying, Netsky's got the edge, 4 pole positions to 2. Lakitu just seems to be able to handle the race pace slightly better.
Yeah, that's always a massive key, and if you can sort of overcut the guys around you by a few laps and things, your tyres will be better at the end of a race, so strategy again will be better and you manage it. But it looks like it's stopped raining now, so we could get some dry running in this session yet, but that's a long way down the road because I don't know how long it takes to fully dry up, but it's all about the management of the race pace, absolutely. Yes,
it does look as though it has stopped raining as well, and there is a tiny dry line appearing, and as we were saying, Lakitu is a better racer than he is qualifier. He goes fastest in the 2020 liveried Alpha Tauri. Of course, they're releasing their slightly changed 2021 livery today. He's done a 124.6. Ollie Flavel going into second on a 124.795, and maybe that's why Schofield decided he didn't want to come out. He didn't fancy... It's always a risk. If you come out in these conditions, the walls are quite far away through here, and as I found out yesterday in another league, though, in the stadium section, they're not that far away. You don't want to be crashing out in the intermediate conditions if you know it's going to be dry in 10 minutes' time.
But I think that's why some of the runners at the back, such as Lukey, Tomer and Jules, have just put in a bit of a lap just to get some experience, just in, as they say, that Jules power slides into the pit lane. So that was good timing for me to go and talk about him there. But I think it's just more a case of just getting the lap time in because they don't know that it might dry up, because this game doesn't always do what it says it's going to do in weather. But there's more people sitting in the pit lane waiting for the soft tyres, so it's definitely drying up. But how long will it take?
Yeah, how long will it take? Arno's gone out on a second set of intermediates, currently in 10th position. Track temperature is 28 degrees centigrade at the moment, air temperature 22, so it's pretty warm out there for wet conditions. There's just not a lot of sun at the moment. That would really start burning off that water on track. But the more drivers go on it, of course, and the more they are running around on intermediate tyres, the more water will be shifted. Will it get to the point that the soft tyres are the best? I think it probably will do, but you might have a very nervous outlap, a very nervous first run on those soft tyres. Let's put it that way. Halfway through the session already, and it is Lakitu on pole position at the moment. Ollie Flavel second, Netsky third, Samba fourth, Dynastics fifth. If it finished like that in the race, Lakitu would be leading in the championship going into the final round, but Netsky would still have a chance and Dynastics would be eliminated. No one at the moment, perhaps understandably, feeling brave enough to go onto the slick tyres. It's pretty much a rule on this game. If you're seeing the spray, it's intermediate conditions.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to remember that. But sometimes if a car's going slowly on board with them, it might trick you into thinking that there's no spray when in fact there is. But in the race, there is some action zones we should talk about, or we have a moment of qualifying that's a little bit quieter. There is Turn 1, which we've sort of mentioned, with the massive rundown, especially on lap 1. Cars will have to be very careful and very aware around them because they might end up losing a wing through no fault of their own. Turn 4, if you don't get the overtake done before Turn 1, you will have a second opportunity with the DRS straight lean up to Turn 4, but I'm not sure if there's 2 activation points for that to work. The straight isn't long enough to fully complete one. If going for an overtake, you might need to go side by side into Turn 4 and 5. But make sure you leave enough room for that. and the final sector. After the trickiest section, of course, in the middle sector, which is where I was losing most of my time earlier, but that's for another day. The final sector, definitely DRS just after the final stadium section, so that's always worth trying to make a move down into turn 1, as we spoke about already.
Yeah, indeed. It's always worth a shot. If you can get a good run out of that final corner, you are going to be in a very good position in the race. And there is only one DRS detection point for those 2 DRS straights in the first sector, so it's very possible, a bit like we see at Hungary, you can get the move done into the first corner, and then the DRS just helps you defend that along the next run. We are on board with Corsa at the moment. He's currently in 7th place. We'll see what he's doing. No one's really improving at the moment, which I think is more to do with the fact they're probably burning up these intermediates all of a sudden, rather than it being the track conditions aren't improving, because it does look a lot drier than it did just a few minutes ago when I was talking about a dry line. Now it looks like there's no wet line at all.
Yeah, it's quite tricky to gauge how it's going to dry up, but I think you called it absolutely right. You've got to wait for the spray to disappear, which is going to make the pit lane a little bit trickier because it's still going to be slightly wetter down there. But Samba's in P4 overall. He's one of the ones that was waiting for the optimum conditions as DRS has been enabled, so that would tell that there's a lot of soft runners about to come to the track. But Samba, as I was saying, is one of those that answered his 5 questions before the race. He likes both tracks coming up, so he's going to hope for good results. Play the constructors game there. His approach for the race is no penalties. Good luck with that one. It is very, very, very harsh around here. He's happy with his teammates, so that's good for them. And he does a bit of practice, but he's just hoping not to get any damage at all today. So let's see if he can make that work out, Samba. Good luck to you.
Yeah, very similar answers actually to his teammate Dynastic, who is going to be the first one we see going out on the soft tyres, because he said the same. He's happy with how his teammate's done. He's fairly happy with his championship at the moment. Top 3 was his target, and he is now more focused on consolidating that rather than going for the driver's title, mainly because Mexico and Japan aren't 2 circuits he enjoys that much. But he says, even if I don't enjoy them, I can stay close to the leaders, as long as I keep it clean on penalties, I feel like I might have a chance. Let's see if he's got a chance then of setting provisional pole position then on this lap. He's the first driver to set a lap with DRS. I mean, the length for this DRS straight, that's going to gain him a good few tenths on the run down towards turn 1. We will be able to check what his first sector time is. Fastest first sector at the moment is Lakitu on a 30.213. Let's see what Dynastics do. Just runs wide slightly there, invalidates his lap, but we'll still get an idea of what his first sector time is, and I think it's going to absolutely smash Lakitu's 29.066. It's definitely ready for slick tyres, there's no argument about that. I'm surprised we haven't seen some more slipstreaming, but I was saying that, it looks like the Red Bulls are giving it a bit of a go.
Yeah, I was just about to... I was on board with Janel to see how he copes in these conditions, as he's been known to pop it up into pole position at any time, but he's definitely got a toll from his teammate, who Khalifa, we know loves an undercut. Maybe an undercut could be the way to go today. We don't know. There could be a safety car and that could help him, but at the moment this is qualifying, and Janel looks to be very, very competitive at the moment on a dry track.
Yeah, he does indeed. So we'll follow last season's precision champion home. Says he's still got a slim chance of maybe getting a podium this season. Does seem to have got more comfortable and more consistent as the season's gone on. Points in 4 of the last 5 races, and if you ignore the bit of a horror show at Silverstone, a 6th in Azerbaijan, a 6th in Vietnam, 2 very good results indeed. I think Samba must have invalidated on his lap as well, so let's see what Jeannot does. First dry flying lap, there we go, 1:17.522, 7 seconds faster than what Lakitu did. I think a lot of drivers though are actually struggling with track limits and just keeping it clean on these laps. Netsky then, king of qualifying, fastest man on qualifying night as well, knows he could do with a pole position, or maybe just a front row start if he wants to get that slipstream off someone into turn 1, and he now heads into the pits as well. They all want to be on fresh tyres right at the end of this session, don't they? So it's like they don't want to set a lap at this moment in time. We've basically got one-shot qualifying going on here.
Yeah, of course, and you have to be careful, because as we've discovered already, it's very, very easy to invalidate anywhere around here, but if you do that, then you could be facing backwards coming down into the grid. You could be, like, I don't know, not facing backwards, but going backwards. Maybe you could drop outside the top 10 altogether, and that could be a shock for some of the people that could well be usually up at the front end of the field.
Yes, of course, here at One Hub, it is a compulsory two-stop strategy in Mexico, a circuit where you do see the two stops quite often anyway. If you're starting outside the top 10, medium, soft, soft. So if you're inside the top 10, a lot could depend on how much wear you've put on that set of soft tyres as to whether you can get away with using another set of softs at some point in the race. Maybe two sets of mediums. And again, that could all go out of the window, of course, if we do see any safety cars. Who have we got on a hot lap at the moment? Ollie Flavel, currently in third place, showed a lot of pace on the intermediate tyres. We'll see whether that's down to maybe just having a bit more downforce than some of the others, which is useful in dry conditions, or whether this is just pure pace indeed. Interesting answer in the in the drivers' interviews, I should say, from his teammate Lukey, who says, I'm happy with Ollie's pace this season, but I think even he'd agree he could have done better with it.
Well, I think he's done okay. I think there's a couple of results where they didn't go his way, but I don't think it's necessarily his fault. But anyhow, that's then, and let's see what he can do today. Is Ollie Flavel 14.4, I guess. There you go.
Yeah, very good lap indeed. If I was Janel, I'd be heading out of the pits as soon as possible, as Lukey now goes fastest on a 1:14.2. This is why everyone was. I don't think they were invalidating their laps. I think they were just making sure that they had plenty of time to get a lap underway. Look at the traffic jam that XO Larkin's currently trying to fight his way through. Lakitu's just destroyed half the marker boards. I don't think that was intentional. I think he was just trying to get out of the way of every single car, and that's invalidated his lap. He's still on the grass here. He needs to be careful that the game doesn't try and disqualify him, but there's just so much traffic. Look on the mini-map of all the cars coming around, and it's not really a long circuit, so with this many cars, we're talking what, 17 cars, 75 seconds for a lap, we say. It's about 4 and a bit seconds for every single car to find some space. There's not a lot out there at the moment.
Nope, there's not a lot of real estate to find out there, but Schofield, it was his first lap of the day, goes into P4 21.1. I think he was just taking it easy. We'll go for another lap. Now he's going to go even quicker, but like you say, there's a lot of drivers out there not necessarily validating, but taking it quite easy. As Larkin, there you go, he did find some spaces. You did mention he was trying to find some. Well, that's what happens when you get some space.
Yeah, no one's got any space in the middle sector whatsoever at the moment. Samba's not too far behind his teammate Dynastics, but this is going to be Samba's flying lap, maybe even his last flying lap. We'll have to see, and he goes up into second on a 1:13.8. You've got a few cars coming around the corner behind. Ollie Flavel trying to get another lap in. He might have just saved enough. Lakitu, despite his lawn mowing skills, is up into 8. Well, actually, no, I think he was in that position anyway. I do apologise. Schofield, that might not have been the worst tactic, setting a slower lap as Khalifa now goes into first, because if we see a lot of drivers invalidate, then obviously he'll be ahead of any of them, as Toxic now goes fastest on a 1:12.963. Can he get another pole position? He said in the Discord chat he's just playing the team role now for Netsky, and obviously for the Constructors' Championship as well. So Scopefielder, what can he do as he comes towards the line in the Ferrari? He's going to move up the order. Just how much remains to be seen. Goes into third position for now. Arnaud, I think, has actually crashed out through, I think, coming out of turn 6, I believe.
Yeah, there was a couple of cars I found in the wall.
Yeah, Corsa as well. He spun up through the S's as well. Jules, I think, has pulled into the pits and retired after a 1:25.7. So whether he made a mistake on his lap, it is all kicking off around here. Netsky goes into second place, so he's going to be behind his teammate. Dynastics goes into fourth. Samba goes into seventh. Did multiple laps on those tyres, so it remains to be seen if that was the best idea. Ollie Flavel goes into 10th. I don't think he'll mind if someone jumps ahead of him. Our championship leader is only going to be in 12th position as Konzo comes into the pit. So it's a 1-2 for Mercedes. Dynastics in 4th position. The championship takes another twist. Lakitu all the way down in 12th position. Just couldn't get a clean lap in, I don't think.
Yeah, I think he was definitely hampered by the car of Forza. It was just across the racing line in the middle of the track. I don't think he knew how to deal with it, and I think he just took avoiding action rather than just sticking to his own lines, which means he couldn't improve. But talking of Lakitu, his expectations of the final two races is the championship. He's going to not cut and cut and he'll be fine. Well, he maybe could have done that in qualifying, sir. Anyway, and then you knows anything can happen on lap 1, so he hopes everyone behaves themselves, especially when you're in P12. You are in the prime spot of madness.
Yes, you're in the concertina effect. You are in the middle of the slinky, and it's all going to bunch up around you. Toxic, though, doesn't have to worry about that. Another pole position this season. Could he get his first win? Or would we see some team orders if his teammate Netsky is still behind him later on in the race? Good qualifying from Khalifa in third. Dynastics in fourth as he tries to keep his championship alive. Schofielder, Larkin, Samba, Arnaud, Konzo and Ollie Flavel are the top 10. Lukey will have fresh tyres in 11th, as will Lakitu, and that's probably the only saving grace for him. That earlier lap from Jano ended up costing him in the end. He's only 13th. We saw Corsa, Jules, the only Toma, fail to get a clean lap on the soft tyres, and J. Luke joining too late in the session to set a lap time. Lakitu's he's got to keep his head down now. His qualifying's definitely not gone to plan. There's no way we can argue anything other than that. He's just got to try and stay calm. Does look very overcast out on track as well, so I wonder if we might be seeing these intermediate tyres make another appearance.
Yeah, it would make sense as to why they were doing more laps than they possibly needed to in qualifying, but we will take this time to thank our magnificent sponsors here at One Hub Racing. The first one is Liam RBS, who will be sponsoring some trophies, and the second sponsor is Next Level Racing, who will be sponsoring the wheel stand for the Going Gets Tough Award winner. I think we'll have a naughty engine point this week. Someone's read it up early. The Next Level Racing wheel stand for the Going Gets Tough Award, which is all the drivers attending or meet obligations races and things like that. And if you answer every question, you are in with a chance of winning that. The third one is Vespa Team, and the fourth one is still relatively new. It's Time to Print 3D. Oh, made it.
Yeah, all the sponsors here will make everything we do here at One Hub possible, providing prizes for the drivers and all sorts of lovely goodies as well. If you go to their website, it does look like we might get someone a penalty for readying up early, as Toxic, very aggressive wheel spin off the start. Just looking at the Discord chat, there was a few bits of blocking in qualifying as well. That'll probably be time penalties, and that'll probably be a penalty point. And Pinnacle, a bit like Prospect's already hit the penalty point marker. Pinnacle is about to hit it. That could mean in the final race, every penalty gets doubled. Instead of 5 seconds, you'll get 10. Instead of 10, you'll get 20. So, already, for whatever reason, they haven't been able to keep it clean. Looks like keeping it clean in Japan is going to be absolutely crucial. Otherwise, you could really get hit with some huge penalties.
Yeah, and that could really cost you if there's a very late safety car which bunches the field up together. You could be leading the race and still not get any points if it's in the final 10 laps, because you won't be able to put on that gap again. And if you have a 20-second penalty, that could be the end of your championship. So caution will probably be the better part of valor next week, but for now we've got 36 laps of terrific wheel-to-wheel action to watch.
Yes, we have indeed. You can see the tyre choices that everyone has gone for. Softs for the top 10 we knew already. Outside the top 10, Corsa and the only Tom are going for the softs. Everyone else probably on the more conventional for outside of the top 10. Medium strategy. Lakitu, he's got to keep it clean. He's got to think about his championship here. He's in a point scoring position anyway. The top 12, as you'll know if you've watched the entire season, get points here at One Hub. He doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to do anything stupid. He doesn't want to be sending moves from miles back. But on the other hand, drivers around him are going to know that Lakitu is in a championship battle, and they might just think, if I go for this move, he's more likely to give me some space.
Yeah, it could be a beneficiary of someone racing around the championship leader to get a position in the race, which you might not otherwise get from the championship leader, but I think he will be a little bit more complicit in giving space than he otherwise would be. But that's perfectly fine as long as it's within the rules. We could see some very shock results today, but Lakitu's going to have to go some to better his championship position. But if it finished now, he'd get 1 point, which isn't really enough.
Yes, it wouldn't be indeed, but a lot can change in 36 laps in Formula 1. A lot could change by the time we've reached that Turn 1 braking zone with the longest run towards Turn 1 on the calendar. It's a Mercedes 1-2. Will it be that way at the end of the race? Let's find out. Lights are off and away we go. It is a pretty decent start then from Toxic. Netsky, unsurprisingly, slipping in beside Dynastics and Khalifa going side by side. And you expect the Red Bull to maybe have the advantage as he was in the slipstream ever so slightly. Doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of changes. Toxic in the lead, Netsky in second, Khalifa and Dynastics still battling for that third and fourth place, but the Williams is just going to have the upper hand. Arnold and Samba battling in the background as well. Everyone looks to have got through the first corners fairly quickly. You can see Lakitu's moving up a fair few places as well. Samba trying to have another go at Arno down the inside. The Alfa Romeo completely locked up trying to defend that position. You can still just see part of his front wing trying to hang in there. Can Samba go all the way, the long way round and have the inside for the S's here? This battle might allow the top four to get away, and in the end he does just have to slot back into position. Lakitu has actually gained quite a few positions. He's got up 3 places on lap 1. Good start for him on the medium tyres. Janil somehow has managed to jump up 5 places on those mediums. Schofield are down 7, Konzo down 7 and Lukey down 6. So I wonder if there's been some sort of contact at the front that might have led to some damage, as we'll quickly check for TAS system. And there is a bit of light damage on the Only Thomas and the Alfa Romeo of J-Luke. Ironically, they've both gone up positions rather than lost any. So it looks like a really clean first lap. Toxic in the lead of this race, his teammate in second. Probably not as many changes at the front of the order as you would have necessarily expected.
No, it was all happening in the midfield rather than the front, but they were trying, but they just couldn't force their way past. But they weren't going to try anything too stupid in a few metres, so we might see someone go for that move a little bit more convincingly in the final few laps if a race win is on the line. But for now, it's been a very solid start, and I expect it to get a little bit more fascinating every lap. And Lakitu, as you say, he's made up 3 places. He's on the better strategy for now. He's on the mediums, so that could be very huge in his afternoon's work.
Yeah, it could be. Watch out for him and Janil later in the race. They'll be hoping that they can get 2 pairs of soft tyres to the end after these. And if there's a late safety car and they've got a fresh set of soft tyres and some of the others haven't, they could be in a very good position indeed. Schofield and Jules were battling there over 11th and 12th place. The Ferrari driver trying to move his way back up the order. J-Luke running wide ever so slightly, and that's allowed Konzo to work his way up into 15th position on those set of soft tyres. Perhaps not working as well as the Only Thomas and Konzo would have liked. Causa the first one to pick up a 3-second time penalty. We're going to be seeing loads of those before the end of the race, but in the lead still, it is Toxic, then Netsky. DRS is actually activated now, and Lakitu, he didn't have the DRS, but it doesn't matter anyway. He has managed to get himself ahead of Janil. He is up into 8th position. Crucial that he tries to get onto the back of those cars ahead of him just to stay with the front pack.
Yeah, he needs to stick with these soft runners if he can get up to them, and they will take him along in possibly the DRS training. That could be even much better for him. But at the moment, he's had a great start, and as you say, watch out for him and Janil later on, and possibly Jupils as well. He's on the mediums, not too far behind for those guys, but right now it's a battle at the front with the Mercedes, who it's a battle of keeping it very clean. And like I said, through the S's is very notoriously tricky for there, because earlier in Prospect you may have seen I was sliding all over the place and getting penalties just for that, so it's always going to be a battle. But for now, Netsky is just about half a second or so behind his teammate, and then Dynastics, a championship contender as well, is right behind him, so this is fascinating.
Yes, it is indeed. It might be the best thing for Dynastics if he can get right onto the back of Netsky, just to stick with him, because I'd imagine Toxic isn't going to put up too much of a resistance to his teammate when that time comes, and that time might be coming very shortly. Is it going to be on the run down towards turn 1? No, it is not. So Toxic staying in the lead of this race despite the penalty. Samba and Arno continuing their battle from earlier on. The Williams down the inside. He now takes 5th position. Lukey and J-Luke always seem to be together out on track, swapping positions in the background now for 16th and 17th. And Larkin having a go at Arnold here. There's the power of the DRS straight away. The Alfa Romeo was leading that train coming out of the final corner. Didn't have the drag reduction system. 2 drivers around him did. They've been able to pull off the overtake.
Yep, it's a little bit unfair for drivers like Arnold in that situation. The start-finish rate is so long anyway, and that's why you would have expected more people to get past at the start because of that same effect. But DRS does its job, and Arnold is still in the top 10 in 7th place, but there's a lot of penalties already. It probably wouldn't be the last few.
Yes, I think during the end of the race we're going to have to get our abacus out and start calculating where the position changes could be. It could all change. It's easy to pick up a penalty through the final few corners as well. That is how close and dramatic this race could be. What we do know is that the top 4 drivers are getting away ever so slightly. Samba's now 3 seconds behind Khalifa, and I wonder if Larkin is going to fancy a go here. 1 driver for the Elite Racing team, 1 driver for the XL Racing team, and he's the XL driver in the Renault with an excellent pass down the inside using the DRS, and he'll have it down the next straight as well. So I wonder if Arnold will fancy getting some revenge on the Williams. That was a big bit of wheel spin though from Arnold, and that's put him under pressure from Lakitu. Already these soft tyres beginning to look a bit second best. Down the inside goes Lakitu. He's up into 7th place. A dream start for our championship leader.
Yep, a very dream start, and he's definitely recovering well from his below part, not his fault, below part qualifying session. At the end of the day he started 12th, but this is the race now and he's making forward progress. He's definitely under better tyres as these soft tyres are beginning to fall off, as you say, so very surely he could well be up there with the Mercedes, as one of them will probably not pit on the same lap, and that could give Lakitu even more impetus to keep going forwards.
Yes, it could indeed. Janelle ahead of Ollie Flavel, then he's battling for 9th and 10th at the moment, just behind the battle that we've been focusing on in the midfield. We are on lap 6 of the race. Things still looking very cloudy at the moment as Corsa picks up a penalty. Air temperature 22 degrees, track temperature a bit warmer than it was in qualifying at 31 degrees at the moment, but the tyres might just be thankful that it is that little bit cooler. Here comes the McLaren then of Ollie Flavel. Him and Jono were battling for the title last year. They're battling for the lower points places at this moment in time, and Ollie just about gets his way ahead. It's going to be pretty close on the exit. Janelle trying to hold in there, but I think the DRS is just going to help the Red Bull driver, and that really the McLaren driver I should say. And now Schofield is trying to get himself involved in this, with Jules not too far behind as well. All sorts of groups of 4 seem to be breaking off in the field at the moment. Jules and Schofield are battling for position. The Haas driver then getting the better of the Ferrari. Jules into 11th, Schofield into 12th, Corsa in 13th. Those 3 all with penalties, as does our race leader Toxic with his second penalties. Corsa leaves the session and breaks his front wing. I wonder if that was just the connection issues that's caused him to have an incident there.
I don't know. I mean, I was on board with that, and I just saw it facing the wall, and then he left the session, so he could be forward to just that happened, but that could also have just ended his race at the same time. He was lucky not to have an instant DNF. A Schofield pits early, takes out a bollard on the way in. Never mind, we didn't need it anyway, and the Mercedes continue for another lap.
Yeah, the McLaren of Ollie Flavel coming in as well. Ollie did do quite a few laps on those soft tyres, so pitting this early, this is a medium commitment from these drivers. Samba and Lakitu then battling for 6th and 7th place, and the Alpha Tauri just making that look really straightforward at the moment. Up into 6th, Larking his next target. Then I think he'll be focusing on keeping it clean on that alternate strategy. Watch out for Lakitu at the end of this race. If I was some of those top groups seeing him coming up, I'd be thinking about making these softs last as long as possible to make sure I can get another set of soft tyres in later in the race. Causes AI car comes into the pits to fix that front wing damage. Back out on the soft tyres. He'll be able to rejoin if he can get back into the session. Chance of points do look slim though, a long way down the order. J. Luke's gone for a set of hard tyres as well. Not something you see too often. He'll be hoping to go a long way on them, and maybe hoping for a safety car so he can get rid of them and allow him to close up to the back of the pack.
Yeah, it could well be bad news for J. Luke's attempt at the hard tyres, because they are not a fun tyre to be on. I know from experience earlier, but they slide a lot. They just make the car feel a bit unstable at the rear, so it's going to take a superhuman effort for J. Luke to get these, but he could be saved by a safety car in about 10 laps, and then he could just switch back to the mediums or something like that. So it's not over yet, but it's going to be a long afternoon for J. Luke. Let's see if the Mercedes are thinking about pitting on this lap, because they went round again, but I think one of them is going to have to pit shortly, otherwise the tyres will possibly explode, as the Taz is getting a little bit more colourful as the corners go by.
Yeah, they've 50% at the moment on the rear tyres for Netsky, 55 on the rear left for Toxic. There was a swap of position between those two last time around. We just caught the tail end of that with Netsky using the DRS to get ahead of Toxic, and you'd imagine, well, I'd say normally, you'd imagine being the front car, he has first refusal on when to come into the pits, but Toxic seems to be struggling a lot more on his tyres. In fact, he's already dropped more than a second behind his teammate, And we also saw quickly there, I believe it was Causa had come into the pits and a few others lower down. So plenty of pit stops happening at this moment in time as the session has unfortunately kicked me out. Hopefully we'll be able to get back in as quick as possible once again. As the game now saying I'm not signed into PlayStation Network. Things are sent to testers tonight. I think it is fair to say. I do apologise for the connection issues that do seem to be affecting us all of a sudden. Hopefully, though, we haven't missed too much action going off in the race at various points there. We'll try and get back into the voice chat so you can hear Matt's lovely voice as well. We are back onto the race then. Toxic has come into the pits, has put a set of the medium tyres on. Khalifa coming in as well. Netsky and Dynastics decided to stay out a bit longer, so the undercut for Toxic, not quite what we were expecting to happen. We'll have to wait and see if that does gain any time for any of those drivers. But it is Netsky still in the lead of this race, and it is Dynastics in second position at this moment in time. Will any of them come into the pits on this lap? We'll have to wait and see at the moment. There we go, Dynastics and Netsky both into the pits. Then Netsky and Dynastics coming into the pits, second and third place. They change down to because now Lakitu is in the lead of the race. Where will they be relative to Toxic? We'll have to wait and see. Toxic coming down the straight now. That is Netsky and Dynastics, and it looks like Toxic has just about managed to do enough. So he's back into the lead of this race. Does have one lap older tyres. Does have a penalty compared to both of these drivers. So this is going to make things very interesting later on in this race, indeed. So we are trying to get Matt back into the party. We do have few technical issues do seem to be affecting my internet and PSN tonight, so do apologise, but we do appear to have lost Matt completely at this moment in time. Back towards the lead of this race, though, is the key to the lead. Janil in second, Jules is in third place, and the only driver who's been able to stretch his softs a long time at this moment in time is the only Toma, one of the drivers to have started on a set of the soft tyres. Luki is in fifth. Toxic is in sixth position, as we know at the moment, after his pit stops, drifting all over the place. Netsky in seventh. Dynastics in eighth. He's picked up a penalty as well. And as we check what the warnings are like at the moment, see how Netsky's doing. He's only had one warning, so he's kept it fairly clean compared to some of the others. Jules coming into the pits before his teammate. That is an intriguing thing to see. Jules coming into the pits before his teammate. Wouldn't have expected that, especially because Jules was on the mediums and his teammate was on the soft tyres and has a bit of front wing damage. His teammate has more pressing matters at this moment in time. Toxic is fifth. The only Toma is down to fourth as Luki goes up into fifth position. There we go, Netsky and Dynastics now actually battling for 6th and 7th place. Netsky did have the DRS that time around, so I'm surprised Dynastics was able to get pretty close to the back of him. Now they're starting to catch up to this traffic on the older tyres, to Luki, to the only Thomas. Surely the Haas driver is going to be coming in soon, and surely he's not going to be holding up Toxic for too much longer. Down the inside, tries to make it work, and the only Thomas, not sure if he went to let him by there or ended up just running wide. He does get that position. Netsky, Netsky ends up getting shoved over the curb by the only Tomo, and that's given Dynastics a fantastic chance there. They're both going to have DRS on the next straight. That's brought Khalifa back into this battle as well. Konzo there picking up a time penalty. Dynastics all over the back of Netsky, just giving Toxic that little bit of breathing space. And he should fly past the McLaren of Luki into third position. Goes on next race leader. He does still have a penalty though. The only one of these drivers that are in the battle out of what was the top four before the pit stops is Netsky. He's kept it clean at the moment, but he is having to do a whole load of damage. Well, he's having to do a whole load of defending at this moment in time, and that might end up damaging his tyres, and that might end up damaging his chances of doing a clean race, because it looks like he could be stuck behind Lukey all the way through the S's, and that is music to the ears of Toxic. In fact, is Netsky going to go for a move down the inside into turn 7? Full commitment from Netsky. Fair play to Lukey for seeing him come in, and there we go. Lukey loses a position, Netsky gains one, and now Dynastics is the one who's had to suffer all the way behind in all of that. He is now into 5th position, gets his way ahead of Lukey. Can Khalifa follow through on the inside, dive into the hairpin in the stadium section there? And Khalifa is in 7th place still, and that has spread things out amongst our top few drivers on to lap 13 of this race, and it is Lakitu then, championship leader, leading at this moment in time. Those are the drivers still yet to pit. Himself, Janil and Lukey all have to come in and make their first pit stop. Everyone else has to make their second of 2 compulsory. We have seen a few disqualifications this season, so don't count it out. It appears we have managed to get our way back into voice chatters. Oh, Konzo. Konzo facing the wrong way there. That is not ideal whatsoever. He's down to 14th. No major damage done onto his front wing. We'll see. Well, definitely no visible damage. We'll see on the test system. No damage whatsoever. So a bit lucky there from Konzo. And that getting through the traffic has really spread the field out at the front. Janil is in 2nd place, Toxic 3rd, Lakitu in the lead. Lap 14 is normally when you see some more pit stops then happening for those that started on a set of the medium tyres. That is when we are expecting to see pit stops. And oh, Jules out of the race. Is that in the pit lane or is that out of the final corner? Looks to me like that is coming through the final corner. Is that going to be a safety car? Is that going to be... Just got a bit of a car there, looking like it's stuck in the wall. It has been cleared by the in-game marshals, though. So they will be able to carry on as normal. That is good news. We have got Matt back. I do apologise for the technical difficulties. You don't want to know how much I've been trying to get back into the party chat. But there's been plenty of action happening in this race. We've had a retirement. And Toxic got away a bit there into traffic. But it looks like Netsky is starting to reel him back in.
Yeah, I never left the lobby, which is weird, but I just couldn't get into party. I don't know what the issue was there, but I've seen all the action and it's getting very, very spicy in the midfield as well. But Netsky and Toxic are still together on track. Pretty much you can select the other driver's gears for them. That's how close they are, but Lakitu's just extending his lead little by little every lap.
Yeah, I said then, just before you came into the party, I was expecting that to be the lap that those on the mediums would come into the pit. He's doing a good job on them. He's stretching him out, and that is bad news for those behind. He's on 64% on his rear left tyre, 61 on his rear right, so very shortly he'll be coming in. Netsky now picks up a time penalty. That does make things interesting, because he was the only one out of that top 4 group, Toxic, Netsky, Dynastics and Khalifa, who were only 3rd to 6th, to have kept it clean. He has got 1 penalty at the moment. There's still plenty of time for those around him to get more penalties, as Larkin gets his way past Lukey, who's also decided to stay out. So that's Larkin into 7th, net 5th place at the moment. That penalty's bad news for Netsky. He's going to have to get past his teammate on track all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's going to need to do that, and I think he knows that he needs to get past his... He seems to have had the measure of his teammate all day, though, to be fair. He's had the better tyre wear, and I think he's just got a little bit more pace about him. Not by much, but that's all you need, just a little bit more, and I'm sure they'll be communicating. This is the lap where they probably organise a pass. Coming out of the final corner through the Lakitu, that's not clever. That's... ooh. That could change everything.
It's a good job he's on soft tyres at the end of this race, because he's going to need them to make up the 5-second penalty he's serving on his next pit stop. Netsky not looking like he's quite close enough to have a go on Toxic, and Dynastics, when he got spread out from the pack because they were trying to work their way through the field, he's not been able to get back in the DRS of the two Mercedes, and he's picked up another time penalty, as has Khalifa, just then behind him. So that is the penalty situation at the moment. Lakitu will serve his in the pit, so he will actually lose out on track as well. He's come out in 8th position. That is not a bad place for him to be in. Can't imagine it'll take him too much to work his way ahead of Arnold, Samba and Larkin. Probably not get onto the back of those ahead on this stint, but maybe in the final stint, as he now is trying to send one down the inside of turn 6. That's a very interesting place to get an overtake. He's got so much more grip than Arnold. Can he manage to get ahead? Yes, he can. Stays ahead all the way through turn 7. He means business, and he knows now he's got to make some decisive moves and try and work his way through the field as cleanly as possible, though.
Yeah, you need to do it as clean as possible, because it's not good going about 3 seconds a lap quicker if you're going to give your opponents 3 seconds every other lap for track limit infringement. So it's going to be a modest sort of balanced drive for him now. He's already got the 5 seconds in the pit lane at his next stop, so that's going to compromise him slightly towards the end of the race, and let's see how much progress he can make, as he's going to get past Samba very, very easily with the aid of DRS, and it didn't even need it, to be honest. He had so much speed and so much more grip, but it's there for everyone to use it in that position. And I think next is going to be Larkin in a few laps, maybe not this lap, but the next lap he'll be lining up a move.
Yeah, probably be close enough to get within the DRS down the back straight, coming out of turn 11 into turn 12 into the final sector, but he won't be able to have a move there. Definitely be looking close enough though to have a go into this first chicane again next time around. Netsky has managed to get back ahead of his teammate Toxic. Maybe those 1 lap fresher tyres as Toxic picks up another penalty. What did we say about there's plenty more time for all the rest to pick up some penalties? So Netsky in the lead of this race as it stands. At this moment in time, he'd actually take the lead of the championship as Lakitu now moves up into 5th position. If the race finished at this moment in time, going into the final race, Netsky would be leading the championship. He's currently on for perfect 21 points. So that'd put him on 141. Lakitu would be on 138 points. Dynastics, fortunately for him, he would be on 111 points, so he'd be out of the championship entirely, but he's still going to be fighting and could still gain in this race. There's more penalties to come, almost certainly. Different strategies to play. If he can get within the DRS range of these two Mercedes, it's definitely all to play for him. Lakitu did manage to sail his way past Larkin, and Janil as well, using that alternate strategy. He's now up into 9th. He's kept it clean, so if he can do that towards the end, there's a big chance for Janil to gain some big places, and maybe, it's a long shot, but maybe just get that podium that he's been hunting.
Yeah, he's as good a pace as any other driver outside the podium positions to do it, and he will be on the... Presumably you've got to at this point think he'll be on the better tyres as well. He'll have more grip through corners, so I'm pretty sure he's the man to watch in the second half of this race.
Yes, he is indeed. He's got the McLaren of Ollie Flavelle behind him in 10th place. McLaren were one of the teams brought into the team press conference earlier. They've said their season's had everything, the good, the bad and the ugly. Not being too harsh, it's been a bit more anonymous, I'd say, for them in Pinnacle this season. Currently 6th in the Constructors' Championship, say, on 41 points, and it looks like they are going to pick up a couple more points from Ollie Flavelle this time around. Alpha Tauri were also in that press conference, and they were saying, well, Jamie, the head of teams, was saying, we've had a consistent season and we're in a good place to win the Pinnacle Drivers' Championship, although probably not the Constructors. Does look, with how well Mercedes are doing, that they are going to secure the Constructors, and unless Lakitu can, when he serves that penalty, show some good pace, they might be in a good place to win the Drivers as well.
They certainly might well do, but there's, again, we said it, there's a few times already, there's a lot of racing still to do by then, but that could well be true. We'll see at the end of this race exactly how true that statement is. But Netsky looks like he's about to start disappearing from his teammate, as he just seems to be eking out that ever so slightly, but Toxic isn't going away that easily, but it's not. And Dynastics in P3 is following them around, so if any of them mess up, he's going to be right there to capitalise.
Yeah, one slight lock-up could change everything here as Schofield gets a time penalty. Lakitu's already pulled out 5 seconds on Larkin. If you want an idea of how good those soft tyres are at the moment, you can see the back of Khalifa. In a lap or two's time, he's going to be within DRS range of them. This is going to be incredible here, especially if he comes out on a set of soft tyres and these all have to come out on the medium tyres. There might not be a lot they can do to stop him winning this race, and it might be a good job for entertainment value that he's got that 5-second penalty. It might just make things that little bit more interesting for us and a bit more difficult for him. Khalifa with the DRS on Dynastics, a slight wobble coming out of turn 2. Dynastics very low on his ERS, so you'd imagine that could be a chance for Khalifa if Dynastics can't save a bit on this lap heading into turn 1 next time around.
Yeah, he's definitely in a much better position ERS-wise, and he's just now decided to try and save it, but I think that might be too late. Khalifa's come in all the time. He's quick through here, we can see that, and I'm pretty sure he'll be lined up and move into turn 1. Maybe before then, obviously, but into, you know what I mean, into turn 1, sort of through the DRS straight, not actually into turn 1 in case people are just listening and being that pedantic about it. But yeah, it's looking pretty promising for Khalifa to get into a potential podium position.
Yes, it is indeed. He has got slightly older tyres, though, than Dynastics, and that's might be just what costed him through the messes. He can't stay close enough. Dynastics' ERS, I should say, is absolutely empty. The battery is flat, and Khalifa's actually not bothering to attack. He's not bothering to defend either, because Lakitu is just sailing one up the inside. Into turn 1, he's up into 4th position, and you'd imagine at that rate there's not going to be a lot Dynastics can do next time around. And every time Lakitu seems to pass someone, Janil in the Big Brother team of the AlphaTauri in the Red Bull seems to make a move as well. He's got himself ahead of Arnaud into 8th position. This is going to be very intriguing at the end of the race. Doesn't look like we're going to get any safety cars. It has been a very clean race in terms of contact at the moment. In terms of penalties, can't say the same thing. Only the drivers in 6th to 8th at the moment without any penalties to their name at all.
Yeah, that's kind of to be expected, though. It is very tricky in some of these sections to keep completely on the track, but these 3 drivers have managed it so far. Are they going to straighten that? It's a little bit deep there, collects a bit of grass, but seems to get away with that. So it's definitely very much trickier to have a clean race, and I think that's what's costing some of these drivers in overall time, but they might get some of that back as they stay clean.
Yeah, they might do indeed. Last time around, Lakitu was a second faster than Dynastics. That's why he's caught up to him so quickly. And with the DRS, that's why he's got past him so quickly. Lakitu is on for a podium position as it stands at the moment. Even with the 5-second penalty, he has got to serve. And Netsky is going to be seeing Lakitu's name appear on his timing screen and thinking, how on earth has he managed to get his way up the field so quickly?
Yeah, he's probably just double took, seen it and thought, is the game having a problem, or is that legit where Lakitu is? Yes. If anyone's watching, to tell Netsky, yes, Lakitu is behind your teammate. So now it's important as any for Toxic to make his car as wide as possible.
Yes, it is. It's all about the team game, and it does look like they're all trying to stretch this medium stint long enough, I'd imagine, to go on to a set of soft tyres at the end, because that might be their only chance at the moment. Toxic, he's got to start driving the widest Mercedes in Mexico, but make sure that he doesn't lose the DRS of his teammate as well. That is going to be a huge help in trying to defend the position at the moment. We only have 2 drivers that have kept it clean now, as we have seen a penalty there for Janel as he tries to close up to the back of Larkin and Samba. Lakitu is right on the back of Toxic. They're both going to have the DRS though. That might just be what stops him. It looks as though Lakitu has got a tiny bit more straight line speed. Is he going to be close enough to have a go down the inside? No, he is not. I think he might have sent one there if Netsky wasn't ahead. He doesn't want to take out his championship rival and get any potential penalties.
No, he certainly doesn't want to take anyone out regardless of their championship or not, but this is going to be fascinating. Can he try and dummy a move such as you mentioned when we did Silverstone a few weeks ago, the Mansell move down the straight? Can he do something similar here to Toxic? Because I think that's the only way he's going to get past that wide Mercedes at the moment.
Yes, it is indeed. That DRS just helping Toxic hold on to that position. He's not got a lot of DRS though, so maybe if Lakitu goes into overtake, he'd have half a chance. Further down the field, Samba's managed to get his way ahead of Larkin, so he is now up into 6th position, recovering after his first DRS of the season last time around. And now Samba is the only driver to have kept it clean at the moment. More black and white squares there than a chessboard on the screen at the moment, as J-Luke is out of the session. Will that cause a safety car? Our second retirement of the race, just coming out of turn 3 by the looks of things. And we do have a full safety car just after all the leaders have gone past the pit lane. Samba, first one to come in. He's going to put soft tyres on. He's got no penalties. He's in a lovely situation at the moment. Luckily, though, I think for the leaders, the safety car has just come out behind them.
That's Larkin's just got a penalty going into the pit lane. That's careless at this stage of the race. That is quite careless. I don't think any of these have damage. It's just for new tyres, which you needed to do anyway. I think that the leaders might do it on the next time around because, as you say, they've just gone past the pits as the safety car was deployed. Don't know what happened to J-Luke, but unfortunately we've lost him from the race as well, as Jules very earlier on, and this is going to be a grandstand finish.
Yes, it wouldn't have been a tyre issue for Joe. I wonder if he's just ended up hitting the wall a bit too hard and wiping himself out. The hard tyres should easily go longer than that. We're down to 15 runners on the timing charts, but I don't believe Corsa has been able to get back into the session, so we are on a net 14 runners. And Toxic, now, the drivers have been warned about this, about going too slow underneath the Delta. He does not want to get held up in the double stack, and he is giving Netsky as much room as he possibly can get away with here.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You've got to be under Delta, and I experienced earlier the Delta comes and goes when it feels like it, so maybe he's just being extra cautious for that as they all pop in, as we thought they might, but that looks like he's going to be held a little bit, but not as much as he possibly could have done, but he's still going to be held, and that could open the door for possibly Lakitu later in the race, even though he's serving his penalty now, so the mechanics aren't working on the car just yet.
Yeah, so Lakitu actually, has served his time penalty, so we'll see where he comes out. Should still be ahead of everyone else. Samba tried to gain a bit from that, and I think the safety car had caught the leaders. He would have been in an absolutely wonderful position, but there's not going to be too many changes to the order. Netsky is now the race leader on a set of the soft tyres. Dynastic second, Khalifa third, Toxic fourth, Lakitu fifth, top of the clean drivers after serving his penalty. Konzo in sixth. He has still got to come into the pits, the only driver in the field who has got to pit. Interesting strategy from Konzo. I think he's hoping that there's going to be another safety car at some point, because I can't see how this is going to work out for him.
No, it's not. He doesn't expect much today, to be honest. In his pre-race media session, he didn't expect a lot. He doesn't want any pressure on himself, and his approach is just to finish. But of course, whether you finish with doing one stop, that will not see you classified as a finisher. He likes his teammate, and he's just going to avoid as many battles as possible and try not to get any penalties. Well, you failed to do that.
Yeah, no penalties was a familiar theme, and to be honest, they've not done too bad in terms of penalties at this moment in time. 9 seconds is the most anyone has for the only timer. Larkin does have 8 as well, but 5 of those are for speeding in the pit lane, so that's not too bad. I was expecting a lot more drivers to be pushing towards that 9 seconds and probably double figures at the end of the race, but bravo to all the Pinnacle tier drivers. They are in the top tier for a reason. Not only are they quick, the quickest drivers are always more consistent and able to keep it clean as well. We're probably going to be under one more lap of the safety car then. Netsky in the lead, Dynastics in second place, Konzo coming into the pits. He's going to have fresher tyres than anyone else, but he's going to be right down at the back of the field. At least he'll be warmed up though by the time he catches up to the safety car. He doesn't have that to worry about.
Yeah, it's a very forgiving place where you get the safety car in this lap message as well. It's quite easy for you to put the power down and catch up the back of the queue as you come into the grandstand section. But at the moment, I think this is anybody's guess as to who's going to win. Lakitu's in P5, which is a decent place for him. Everyone's on the same tie now, so can he put the earlier pace advantage to good use, and can he force his way onto the podium, or will it stay as it is? I'm excited to find out.
I am indeed. Now this is where having no penalties is really going to help you, because that 6 seconds of penalties for Toxic, Khalifa and Dynastics wasn't looking like it was going to be a massive problem. There was quite a big gap behind Lakitu to Samba and Larkin. There ain't a big gap anymore. You can see Samba right on the back of Lakitu. Already Konzo and Luki have nearly caught up to the back of the pack, so we are going to see the safety car in this lap message at some point. It is a very awkward restart. Well, it's not an awkward restart to get right. There's not a lot you can get wrong on the restart. But no matter what you will do, because of how early the pit line is, you are going to be giving someone a lovely slipstream all the way down towards turn 1.
There you go, safety car in this lap, so we'll see when Neski decides to go. It's, as you say, it is a little bit tricky because the nature of the final corner is you have to sort of... I think people are going to assume he's going to go on the straight and not before because you have to slow down again, so I think they're just going to sit behind him and wait till the straight and just go when they see the car accelerate in front, so he could be a sitting duck into turn 1 this time.
Yeah, he has gone just outside the exit of the corner and has actually done, I think, the best job he possibly could have done there. So we are back racing for 10 laps of action. Samba got a pretty good restart. If anything, he got too good of a restart because he couldn't get ahead of Lakitu. Straight away, tucks into the slipstream to try and get the move done. You can see in the background, Janelle and XL going too wide down the straight. Samba thinks about sending one down the inside. Can't get the move done. XL likewise on Janelle. So a very clean restart. Drivers pretty much holding position at this moment in time. Netski in the lead. Dynastic second. Khalifa in third. Toxic trying to get his way ahead of Khalifa, who has got a bit deep into turn 4 there. The outside at turn 5 is never going to work. Slight bit of contact between the two of them. Can he get the cutback done? Go down the inside into turn 6. Needs to be careful that they don't lock wheels on exit, and they have done that indeed. Toxic just about manages to get himself ahead of Khalifa, who I don't think will be too happy about that, but that's allowed the top 3, well the top 2 I should say, to get away, and it's allowed Lakitu to close back up. That's good news for Netski, who only has 3 seconds of time penalties. He could still hold on to the win here.
He could, but of course with that move there with Khalifa and Toxic, that's brought Samba onto the back of Lakitu, and as we know, Samba can be quick as well, so he could surprise everything and he could go for a podium position. And this is everything, because Samba is one of the clean drivers as well with no penalties at this point, and I hope I haven't just cursed him, because I would feel so bad if he misses a podium by a couple of seconds. But General's trying to overtake Samba here into turn 1. He's got the no DRS at this point. He's got the slipstream, I was going to say. No DRS until the next time around because of the full safety car. It is always disabled for 2 laps.
Yes, it is indeed. So they'll have it for the final 8 laps of this race. But if they're in a DRS train, will anyone be able to use it apart from Dynastics, who's just behind Netski, and Khalifa, who is just behind Toxic at this moment in time? Samba in 6th place. He's kept it clean. He's not had a podium this season. He is the highest placed driver in the championship. 7th place at the moment with 54 points. That is yet to have a podium all year. 2 best finishers of 4th position in Bahrain and Hungary. He had another 5th place at Abu Dhabi. So 3 top 5 finishers, no top 3s yet. Could today be the day? He's going to have to try and stick to the back of Lakitu as the only Toma does pick up another penalty. He's going to have to stick onto the back of Lakitu and just hope the DRS can drag him along, and hope Toxic can drag all these guys up to the back of Netski and up to the back of Dynastics as well. DRS will be enabled this time around. The gaps do look a bit big though out the front of the field for any of them to really be able to effectively use it. Of course, they won't be able to use it until the back straight from turn 11 to turn 12, because the detection point is coming through the final corner. Larkin seeing if he can close up to the back of Jano, not able to do so. His teammate though is closing up to the back of only Tomo down the inside, and Konzo, just with them slightly fresher tyres, just about manages to get the move done. He's up into 12th.
Yep, just about is good enough, and they left just about enough space, which again is good enough. But it's all, there's action everywhere, even for the final points, which is brilliant to see. Sometimes you have the final few runs of the field, a little bit of drift at the back, but the safety cars punched everybody up. And I think there's going to be a few changes of positions in the lower reaches of the points, and that is brilliant to see. But Khalifa is under pressure from Lakitu now, and I think it could be go time now. Let's watch this, because this is going to be a massive battle.
It is indeed. Khalifa's doing just enough to stay in DRS range. Toxic and Khalifa both looking very low on ERS at this moment in time. Lakitu looking a lot healthier, 50% at the moment. That's not a bad place to be in if you want to go for an overtake. Perhaps not quite close enough to Khalifa as Dynastics sets the fastest lap of the race. Maybe he's close enough for an overtake to try and take the lead. He knows he's got to try and do everything to hold on to this championship. It might not be enough. It might not be enough to take the win with the penalties. He doesn't care though. Down the inside into turn 1. Straightforward DRS pass. Dynastics in the Williams into the lead of this race. No real moves It looks like further back, Khalifa trying to close up to the back of Toxic, not able to do so. Lakitu just sticking with these guys. Samba, looks as though Samba's dropping back ever so slightly, so he might still gain places with penalties. This is going to be good news for Janelle, Larkin and the rest of the cars behind him.
Yeah, but it's bad news. I think Dionysus got another one there, so that's pretty much the end of his challenge for a victory at this point, unless he can really clear off down the road now. But Netsky and Toxic seems to be separated now, and I'm not sure how that happened, but I think that could only be good news for Netsky, because that means Lakitu is not going to be with him very soon. So this is going to next week. I'm pretty sure of that now, as we were before we came on air. This has been a fabulous race, and it's not over yet. Stay tuned, because this is a stormer. Yeah,
you can see the gap between to the leader there. Netsky is 0.7 seconds behind Dynastics. Lakitu is 4.2. So with the penalty, Lakitu would finish about 0.4 of a second at the moment behind Netsky. It is going to be fairly close indeed. Khalifa just holding on ahead of Lakitu at this moment in time, and that is all that he needs to do. Janelle not able to close up on Samba. Ollie Flavel down the inside on Arno, the McLaren, working his way up into 9th place. He has 3 seconds of penalties. Larkin ahead of him has 11, so there is definitely a chance for Ollie to move his way up the order. Maybe, just maybe, with Samba having no penalties and Dynastics, his teammate, having 9 seconds, maybe his podium dreams aren't over quite just yet. We'll probably need to show a bit more pace though, and to try and stop some of those behind him getting ahead. It does look, even if the drivers is going on to the next round, with Netsky and Toxic currently 2nd and 3rd, Williams 1st and 6th, for needing to outscore Mercedes. Looks like the Constructors' Championship will be decided in favour of the Silver Arrows here tonight. Konzo trying to close up to the back of Schofield, was now Toxic picks up a 3-second time penalty. Konzo not able to get close enough at this moment in time. It's for DRS trains once again. They're just stopping anyone going for an overtake, and because they're all on fresh tyres, no one's really got that tyre differential to take advantage of. Although saying that, Lakitu seems to have got a good one here on Khalifa.
Yeah, it's all about some of the overtakes you could see were coming because the grip was different for all people. They're on different stages of the race, different stages of the tyre grip and everything, but now everyone's on the same tyre. We're going to see who's got the better setup to force the way through. Lakitu's up in the 4th, but I feel sorry for Arnold. Every time I look at him, he's being overtaken into turn 1. Poor man. Well, hopefully that'll end for him now. Konzo's going to try and go around the outside into turn 4 on Schofield. Oh, what a move that was by the Renault. Full commitment on the brakes. Maybe that very slight tyre differential he's got's just helped him there. He's now into 11th as he tries to catch up to Arnold and Ollie Flavel. Ollie, without any DRS, could find himself in a bit of trouble. Netsky managed to get ahead of Dynastics, and he started to stretch that gap as well. 0.8 of a second. You see another time penalty there for Janelle. Dynastics drops outside of DRS range. That's pretty much already it's game over for him in this race. But if Dynastics drops out of DRS range, unless he gets a penalty, I can't see how Netsky doesn't end up winning this race. Yeah, it's very promising for Netsky, and that would really shake the championship up in terms of the order. That would be 140 for Netsky. Lakitu would get, I guess, 2nd place. That would be 17, so that would be 145. So it's definitely closer for Netsky. He's definitely going to close the gap, but not by enough to overtake him today. But there's a few laps still to go yet, and you never know what's going to happen in the final few moments. Yeah, there's 4 laps still to go. If Lakitu can find 0.6 of a second without getting any penalties, he can take a 4th victory in a row, and that 6-point swing could be absolutely crucial in the championship. Fastest lap at the moment is Dynastics. Can't see that changing now as the soft tyres have begun to wear, so at least he's got that bonus point in hand as he hoped to secure 3rd place in the championship. It looks like that's what he's going to be able to do at this moment in time. For the lower points positions then, you've got Ollie, Arno, Konzo, Schofield, Lukey and the only Toma are just a bit further behind, but might be in a position to gain if some of those ahead get penalties. Definitely for Lukey to gain. The only Toma is going to need some drivers, I think, to just start straight lining every single chicane if he wants to gain any positions on penalties. The last car in the session at the moment, 15 seconds of penalties, really making things awkward for him at this moment in time. Dynastics closing up to the back of Netsky. Can't quite get close enough. Lakitu
3.1 seconds behind as well, as Dynastics picks up another time penalty. This is going to be very interesting at the checkered flag, as all know. You said you always see him getting overtaken. Now he's the one doing the overtaking down the inside of Ollie Flavel. A little bit of contact there with the McLaren, and that is the Alfa Romeo up into 9th.
It is, and I'm good to see him getting a position into turn 1, as Ollie Flavel has now lost another position to Konzo as he's down the inside after the small contact. Definitely puts his momentum. You even saw Ollie Flavel move to the left to try and break the toe, but that didn't work as Konzo gets through anyway.
Yeah, Konzo then into 10th position, trying to recover his way up the order. Khalifa there picking up another time penalty. That puts him now up onto 9 seconds, the same as Toxic. So he might actually end up losing out to his teammate, the Janil, who's now in 6th place. Samba seems to have, well, I think he's actually been overtaken by Janil. It's not like he's closing up to the back of him. So Red Bull's showing some good pace all of a sudden at this moment in time. Penultimate lap of the race then for the leaders, and Lakito, that all-important gap he is pushing at the moment. It is hovering around that magic 3-second point. We are not going to know until they come to the line. It is going to be that close at the moment, as Dynastics is just giving Lakito a bit of a favour here, because he's really starting to put Netsky under some pressure, just holding on to the lead, the Swede there in the Mercedes, and you can see that has tipped the gap below that 3 seconds, as the only Toma, he's coming into the pits, he's put on a fresh set of soft tyres, might as well to try and get that fastest lap point outside the top 10, which is currently being held by Ollie Flavel.
Yep, might as well. Tried to do that earlier, but got it slightly wrong, but I tried my best, and that's all he can really do. But he's got a good chance to try and do that, but he's not going to get much else with 15 seconds of penalties there. But these penalties are really going to shake up the order, but yeah, Dynastics is probably out of the championship now, unfortunately, with 12 seconds of penalties. That's not going to help him much. He's going to drop way down at the line. But Arnold's got one now as well, so that is 4 penalties, and yeah, the line cannot be soon enough for some of these drivers. There's one more lap to go. They're about to cross the line for the final lap of the race, and that's now. And can Dynastics get past Netsky? He's done so, and I'm not really. I mean, it doesn't really matter because Netsky's going to win the race anyway. So
he's not. He's not going to win the race. He's picked up another 3-second time penalty.
Oh, I missed that one. Yeah, sorry. I was enthralled with the action, and I didn't see that one pop up. So more, I guess, more issues. But at the moment I was speaking, I thought he was going to win the race. But now that's changed everything.
It has indeed. And also, never mind that, Lakito all of a sudden is within DRS range of Netsky. Netsky had a terrible final sector, and that allowed Lakito to close right up to the back of him. Has Netsky just worn out these soft tyres a bit too much? And is Lakito, unless he manages to pick up 2 penalties, he's going to pick up 4 warnings on this lap to not win this race all of a sudden. Let's not forget, he started in 12th position in this race as the only Toma picks up another time penalty. We know the race victor is probably going to be Lakito. I'm not even going to try to calculate the rest of the podium at this moment in time. And as the fireworks start going off through the baseball stadium here in Mexico City, Dynastics, it's not going to be enough to keep his championship alive. He is going to cross the line to take the checkered flag here first, but it is a 4th victory in a row for Lakito, who takes the victory, and that is a big step towards the championship. Samba steals 2nd place on the line for his first podium of the season. Netsky comes home in 3rd. Janil gets his best finish in 4th. Dynastics losing 5 places in the end, dropping back behind Toxic. And I think that sign there, Netsky has left the session, says all that he thinks about that. That extra penalty, it didn't cost him the win, but it did cost him 2nd place. And now, all of a sudden, the gap in the championship, which looked like it might be going down to 2 points, maybe even down to 5 points, is up to 14.
Yeah, that's going to be a very tall order to overtake next week, as he gets driver of the day from the game, and that's a fair shout. It was on my list of nominees. I will reveal that very shortly, but next week is going to be massive after that swing.
I mean, Lakito probably seen more moonwalking from him than you can find Michael Jackson doing on YouTube so far this season. A 6th win of the year. Great to see Samba get his first podium. A reward for both of them for managing to keep it clean with the corner cutting penalties. Lakito obviously serving that 5 seconds under the safety car, probably helping him out ever so slightly. And Khalifa coming home, getting another podium of the season. Netsky, I do apologise actually. Do apologise there. Netsky getting the podium. That's really shook things up in the championship and means Lakita with a 14-point lead. He is looking very good indeed for the championship. If he finishes 6th or 7th with the fastest lap, he will end up taking the championship next time around. And he's won here from 12th on the grid. Samba in 2nd. Netsky finishes in 3rd. Janel 4th. Toxic in 5th position. Another pole position. Still unable to get that first win. Dynastics 6th in the end. He'll be happy with getting the fastest lap at his pace. Just 12 seconds of penalties costing him in the end. Khalifa dropping down to 7th. Olive Lavelle 8th. Konzo in 9th. Arnold in 10th. Larkin and Scopefielder the final points finishers. Luki was 13th. The only Toma did get that fastest lap point in the end for finishing 14th. Causa disconnected earlier on. We're not sure if that's because of a crash or if that caused the crash. J. Luke and Jules we saw retire during the race. And it was that J. Luke retirement just stirred everything up. It allowed the field to close up. It allowed Lakitu to serve the penalty under the safety car. Maybe that was key for him. Maybe that was a bit lucky, but there was nothing else lucky about the performance. Fantastic overtaking, especially in that first stint on the medium tyres.
Yeah, the first stint, as we said at the time, you need to watch out for him in the second half of the race, because that stint was magic, and that definitely put him in the window of the opportunity to take a possible race win. But we didn't know at the time that Netsky would bottle it and get another penalty, which would make it easier for Lakitu, but take nothing away from the drive. That was still a very, very good drive and very good recovery from P12 on the grid.
It was a good drive. It was so good that the game gave him the driver of the day. But Matt, did he get your driver of the day?
He is on my list of 2, I'll be honest. But I'm going to go with the other one that's on my list for the simple reason he also kept it clean and stole P2 at the line, and that is Samba. And the question I'm going to ask him is, a lot of the drivers said they would need to keep it clean. Did you actually believe that keeping it clean would result in a well-earned podium today?
You've had the same idea as me. I like going for the drivers who keep it clean, but I like trying not to go for the race winners. But for the second week in a row, I'm going for the race winner. For the second week in a row, it is Lakitu. And I'm going to ask him, after your qualifying down in 12th place, I'm guessing that wasn't the plan, did that change your strategy of how you were going to approach this race, especially on the first lap? Were you thinking about taking it careful? Because it definitely looked as though you did make some good but clean moves in the early stages. Those are the questions the drivers will hopefully be answering on the forums. So much was happening in that race. There were so many different contenders. We saw there, obviously, Netsky had good pace. Dynastics took the winner across the line. Janil getting his best result of the season so far. But no matter what you throw at Lakitu, he seems just to be able to deal with it at this moment in time. And he's now in a very good position going into the final round of the season to take this Pinnacle tier championship.
Yeah, and that's all you can really ask to be, in a good position to take it and let your actions on track take you there. And as you say, he's been thrown all sorts of stuff this season, and he's driven through it and walked away with another win today, which it didn't look likely for about 99% of the race. It didn't look like he was going to get anywhere near the top step. So for that, it's commendable that he's managed to keep going. But next week is going to be so exciting. I can hardly wait as it is.
Yeah, he's got to do it one more time. He's just got to keep himself calm, because you never know what could happen. Suzuka has seen many title deciders. It's seen plenty of bad weather. It's seen plenty of controversial crashes. Who knows what the final Pinnacle tier race of the season has in store. But before then, of course, there are the rest of the season finales. There is Prospect at 6:15 next Friday. There is Podium at 7. Precision will be at 8:15. And the Pinnacle tier will be on at 8:30. Thank you for Matt for joining us in the comms box. Thank you as well to our sponsors, Vespertine, Liam RBS, Next Level Racing, and Time to Print 3D. Thank you all at home so much for watching. Apologise for the different technical issues, some self-inflicted, some unfortunately that we couldn't really do much about, but we got there in the end. I'm pretty glad we did get to see the end of that race, because it was very exciting indeed. 6 wins so far for Lakitu. Will he make it a perfect 7 next time round at Japan and secure the championship in the best possible way? You'll have to wait until next week to find out. But for myself and Matt, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.